Today, we're diving into a discussion about the 2014 release, a truly disturbing cannibal horror film called Wax. Now, the story in this movie is incredibly dangerous and intense, and it wraps up with a twist that's bound to blow your mind and leave you absolutely loving it. So, make sure you stick around and watch this video all the way to the end. Right at the beginning of the film, we're introduced to this cannibal doctor who's got a female victim tied up and restrained. He's got her eyes covered with something stuck over them so she can't see a thing, and he's somehow made her mouth disappear or sealed it shut. Then this doctor uses some kind of tool to pull out the girl's fingernail, causing her an immense amount of pain and agony. Watching her suffer like that, the doctor leans in and tells her that he's about to start cutting into her body, and he's planning to remove her liver and eat it because her body looks so healthy and prime for consumption. Hearing this horrifying plan, the girl desperately begs him not to do it, pleading with him to stop and let her go. But the doctor doesn't listen to a single word she says. He ignores her completely and slices open her stomach, leading to a massive amount of blood pouring out as she screams at the top of her lungs in sheer terror and pain. After that intense opening scene, the movie shifts to show us Mike, who's a journalist, along with his wife and child. But tragically, they're no longer in this world. They've passed away. Then we meet this TV producer who's extremely greedy and ambitious. She gives Mike a call and tells him that she's got a job opportunity lined up just for him. Since Mike lost his wife, he's been out of work and struggling, so he agrees to take on this job without hesitation. The producer assigns him the task of spending an entire night inside a horror wax museum, and they've set up cameras all around the place to record everything that happens. This museum is rumored to be haunted, and the legend goes that no one can stay there overnight without something terrifying occurring. That's exactly why they're running this experiment, to find out once and for all what really goes down in there after dark. Mike heads over to the museum with his crew member, Chief, and they meet up with the owner of the place. Mike asks the owner straight up what's so special or scary about this museum that makes people afraid to come here. The owner explains that he's created wax figures of all these famous horror legends, like Frankenstein, Michael Myers, and Leatherface, among many others that are displayed throughout the exhibits. Mike presses further, asking why specifically people avoid staying here at night, and the owner reveals that one day, an employee of his tried to spend the night there but only lasted about 2 hours before bolting out in panic. The employee claimed he heard all sorts of strange and eerie noises echoing through the halls. After sharing that story, the owner takes Mike over to a particular statue that represents some kind of cult figure, and he tells Mike that this figure can predict fortunes or futures. When Mike approaches it, the statue suddenly speaks and warns him that he's going to die. The museum owner then points out the newest addition to the collection, a wax figure of Dr. Knox, who is the very same doctor infamous for killing his victims and eating their flesh. Dr. Knox is still alive, locked up in prison, but he's become so notorious that they just had to include his wax likeness in the museum to draw in crowds. The owner also mentions that Dr. Knox had a twisted passion for making snuff films, which is why he recorded every single one of his victims during their ordeals. Right next to his wax figure, there's a TV set up with all of his taped recordings available to play. Then the movie cuts to one of Dr. Knox's tapes, where we see him picking up a prostitute off the streets. He brings her back to his lair and instructs her to undress completely. Once she's naked, he chillingly tells her that her flesh is going to taste absolutely delicious, and without warning he strikes her on the head, knocking her unconscious. When the girl wakes up, she finds herself bound and helpless, and Dr. Knox proceeds to drive a nail right into her ear, killing her instantly in a brutal fashion. After that, we're shown another victim in one of his tapes, whose eyes he's already gouged out. Back in the museum, the team asks Mike if he's truly ready to stay there all alone for the night. Mike assures them that he's completely prepared and up for the challenge. At some point, Mike's producer calls him again and reminds him to record every single thing present in the museum. She emphasizes that he needs to capture any and all events that unfold during the night, and she'll call him back at 4 a.m. to check in and hear about what happened. Following that conversation, Mike enters the museum alone and first heads straight to Dr. Knox's statue. He looks into the camera and comments that Dr. Knox is still alive out there, yet they've already made a wax version of him here. He then plays one of Dr. Knox's snuff films on the TV, where the doctor confesses his love for eating human flesh, claiming that nothing else in the world tastes quite like it. In the background of the video, there's a victim strapped down on a stretcher, whom he says he'll be devouring very soon. Mike pauses the video in disgust and walks away, but as he leaves, we notice the video mysteriously starts playing again on its own. In this continuation, we see Dr. Knox pouring hot wax over his victims' eyes before ultimately killing and consuming them. Meanwhile, on the news, there's a journalist standing outside Dr. Knox's prison, working on a documentary about him. She even visits his old house to investigate the places where he tortured and killed his human victims. She enters his room where there's a stretcher and various tools scattered around, all remnants of his gruesome activities. Back to Mike in the museum. He's all alone now, and at first, nothing out of the ordinary seems to be happening. Then another of Dr. Knox's snuff tapes is shown, where he's got a victim lying face down, and he cuts out a piece of flesh from their back. He places it in a bowl and eats it with a fork, describing how delicious the back meat tasted and expressing his desire to try it again sometime. In the tape, he holds up a ball and tells viewers to stay happy and positive. Mike continues exploring the museum, which is filled with creepy and frightening displays. After a while, he settles into the control room and starts reading a book to pass the time. That's when he spots a ball on the table that looks just like the one from Dr. Knox's videos, leaving him shocked and surprised. He picks up the ball and starts playing with it casually, then heads downstairs and places it in the hand of one of the wax figures, telling it jokingly to take care of the ball. He continues his investigation downstairs, where another of Dr. Knox's tapes is playing. In this one, the doctor has a victim tied up and tells her that her eyes are so beautiful that he wants to eat them. The girl begs him to let her go, but Dr. Knox pulls out a tool and gouges out both her eyes right there, then starts eating them in front of her. Mike reaches a female wax figure and remarks that her figure reminds him of his late wife. This triggers memories of happier times, like when they went on a vacation to the beach, and he recalls how his wife always wore a large necklace that she considered her lucky charm. Feeling nostalgic and happy from the memory, Mike keeps exploring the area. Suddenly, he notices that the ball he placed in the wax figure's hand is now missing. This baffles him and he starts searching everywhere for it, but it's nowhere to be found. Then we're shown Dr. Knox in another tape with a male victim tied up. He tells the boy he wants to eat his pancreas, straps him to the stretcher, cuts him open, removes the pancreas and stitches him back up. Mike watches this tape and begins to feel genuinely scared, with thoughts of his wife flooding his mind. As he's watching Dr. Knox torture the victim, his eyes catch sight of the ball again, this time lying at the base of Dr. Knox's wax figure. He's stunned, wondering how on earth the ball ended up there so suddenly. He searches around the area but doesn't see anyone or anything suspicious. Just then, his producer calls and asks if any strange events have occurred. Mike tells her he's feeling something really off and weird, and he requests that she send help right away. But the producer insists he keep recording everything and hangs up abruptly. During the call, the ball slips from Mike's hand and falls to the floor, but when the call ends, he looks down and realizes the ball has vanished once more. This drives him to the brink of madness, and he starts eyeing every wax figure suspiciously, convinced that one of them might actually be a real person in disguise. He feels like someone's watching him intently, causing overwhelming unease and restlessness. To calm himself, he heads to the bathroom to freshen up and try to reset his mood. When he returns to the museum hall, he spots someone standing right in front of him. At first, he thinks there might be an intruder, but as he approaches, he realizes it's just another wax figure that seems to have been moved or placed there deliberately. His manager calls him then and warns him that Dr. Knox has escaped from prison by breaking out, and they suspect he might be heading straight to the museum, so Mike needs to stay alert and cautious. Hearing this, Mike is horrified and urges her to send the police immediately. He rushes to Dr. Knox's exhibit room and discovers that the wax figure is gone. Shocked, he checks the recorded footage on a nearby camera and learns the terrifying truth. It wasn't a wax figure at all. It was the real Dr. Knox who walked away on his own feet. This revelation terrifies Mike and he starts panicking about his fate. As he heads downstairs, he spots what looks like Dr. Knox standing there, but upon closer inspection, it's just the wax figure again. Then he catches a glimpse of the real Dr. Knox and quickly hides, while the doctor searches for him relentlessly. Amid the chaos, Mike finds a CD in the hand of a wax figure and plays it. On the CD, Dr. Knox explains that he's eaten many living humans but now wants to try eating a dead one to see what the taste is like. He describes how he buried a woman's body underground for days, causing it to decompose and fill with insects. He then tastes the rotten flesh and declares it disgusting. He shows the decayed corpse on camera and reveals her name was Noria, which is Mike's wife's name. Mike notices the exact same necklace on the corpse that his wife used to wear as her lucky charm, and it hits him like a ton of bricks. This is his wife's body, and Dr. Knox was the one who killed her. Overcome with rage and grief, Mike screams out loud, and suddenly he sees Dr. Knox approaching him. He bolts away as the lights in the museum flicker and go out completely. Mike switches his camera to night mode and wanders around in the dark, with Dr. Knox lurking and hunting him down. He ducks into Dr. Knox's torture room replica to hide, but the doctor slams the door shut, trapping him inside. Somehow, Mike manages to escape and gets a call from his manager, who assures him not to worry because she's already sent the police. Unbeknownst to Mike, we see Dr. Knox standing right behind him, eavesdropping on the conversation. Mike tries to flee, but Dr. Knox catches him. Mike fights back, knocking the doctor out temporarily, but he gets up and chases after him again. Mike hides behind a wax figure, but Dr. Knox grabs him and drags him to the torture room where he ties him up. The doctor starts recording a new snuff video and tells Mike he wants to taste his liver and pancreas. He reassures Mike that it won't hurt because he's given him pain-relieving pills. Using a blade, he cuts open Mike's stomach and removes pieces of flesh. The scene is incredibly gruesome and horrifying, trust me. After eating the flesh, Dr. Knox comments on how delicious it tastes, stitches up the wound, and even forces Mike to eat some of his own flesh. He tells Mike he's stepping upstairs briefly to get some wine and warns him not to try escaping. While the doctor is gone, Mike thinks about how Dr. Knox must have killed his wife, fueling his anger. He attempts to get up and run, but his internal organs are so damaged that he collapses to the floor. Dr. Knox returns, lifts him up, and says escape is impossible. He reveals that before stitching him, he placed a rat inside Mike's stomach, which has likely gnawed away at his internals by now. Mike starts feeling the rat moving inside him, enraging him further. He grabs an object and smashes Dr. Knox's face with it, only to realize it's a wax figure, and in the process, Mike falls and dies right there. The next morning, we see the journalist from earlier arriving at the museum to check on Mike. She finds detectives and doctors investigating the scene. Mike's body is there, looking perfectly intact. The detective asks the doctor what could have caused his death, and she explains it was simply from fear, meaning there was no real Dr. Knox torturing him. It was all in Mike's mind, a hallucination that led to his demise. The manager approaches Steve and tells him to extract all of Mike's footage. Steve accuses her of treating Mike unfairly, but she justifies it by saying they had to experiment if they wanted fame for their TV show. So, friends, all those elements like the ball and the CD were planted by the manager to trigger Mike's memories of his wife and child, making him act out in fear and boost the show's popularity. Her plan worked, but at the cost of Mike's life. Finally, we're shown Dr. Knox still in prison working on something. In a flashback, we see him approaching Mike's son on the beach, giving him a ball and then killing him, possibly even eating the child's flesh. This reveals that Dr. Knox didn't actually kill Mike's wife and child. That was a misunderstanding. And with that, the movie comes to an end right there. The human mind is incredibly powerful, capable of creating all sorts of imaginations, and sometimes those imaginations become so terrifying that a person can lose their life because of them. So, friends, that was the story of this film, and what did you think of its twist? Let us know in the comments section below. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the bell icon for notifications.